Okay, guys and gals, we are back for part 2 on the building of the Kadet. And the next step in the book calls to put the stickers on the fuselage and wings. So, the first thing we'll do is take our heat gun, take the wrinkles out everywhere first, and then we'll start on the stickers, decals. They come in a big sheet. Jason, when you cut these out, like the windshields, the windows, cut them out in a unit like this. Don't cut each individual one out. It's harder to get them in place where they go if you just do one unit. This in between here looks yellow, but that's just the backing on here. This is clear plastic in between, so it won't show. It'll just show the white through. But anyway, leave it in a unit. Just take your, I prefer a small pair of scissors to go around the curves and stuff, but just trim it right to your little black lines all around the edge. And same thing on the big one that goes on the tail. Just leave it one unit. Don't cut them in half, and it'll be a lot easier to put on. Now, it says in the book to use soapy water and a squeegee and all this stuff. I've never done that. I've always just been really careful and got them in place. Now, once these stick down, you can't hardly get them loose. I don't know, I'm always nervous that if you don't squeegee all that soapy water out from under it, your decals may come loose and fly it sometimes. So I don't use it, but you're welcome to if you want to. But I'm just gonna take my chances, and once you get one end started, it's pretty easy to feed these down. But just be sure you get your first end where you start at square and everything. So anyway, first thing we need to do is take the wrinkles out of this. I will show you again on this tail section. Fire up the old heat gun on high. It's going to take very long for it to warm up. There we go. Let's pull all the wrinkles out of that, tighten it up. A few back here on the rudder. Okay, I'm going to take a break here just a second. Now here's one of the places I was telling you about. Get me a pointer here. I don't know, maybe you can see it, but see this overlap edge? It's a little bit loose right there. When you find a spot like that, don't hit it with your heat gun, because it will just shrivel that up and pull it loose. What we need to do is go over this with an iron first. Get that all sealed down, top and bottom. There's a couple places on the top also. Let's get that sealed down with an iron so it doesn't come loose, and then we'll come back with the heat gun and finish it up. So I'm going to take a break and do that right quick. I'll get my iron heated up and we'll be back in just a minute. Okay, I've got my little small trim iron heated up. And we're going to take this and we're going to make sure that seam overlap seals down really good along that edge. That heat gun will pull that right off there if you don't. So okay, let's do the other end. Boy, it is rumbling bad outside, fixing to come a toad choker, I think. I may have to turn my computer off here in a little bit if it starts storming real bad. But, okay, I got that. Now we can take the gun and get the rest of those wrinkles out. Give it a second to heat up. We don't have to worry about it pulling our edge loose up there now. Tighten all that up. I think I already tightened this side pretty good. There's that. Now, I've already done most of the fuselage. There's a seam right here where the white comes over the top. I took my iron and made sure that seam was down. There's a seam on the bottom where the black goes, make sure all your seams are good and tight before you put the gun to this, so you don't pull your edge loose. So anyway, that's all pretty much done now. A little one right there I missed. You want to be sure and get all these out where the stickers go so they'll lay good and flat. A little bit right here. I have to poke that one. Let it just cool down. Okay. Got the fusel done and the tail section. Wrinkles are all out nice and slick and shiny and tight now, so we're good to go. I'm going to attempt, let's see, let me unplug this because I really don't need it, I don't think, anymore. I'm going to leave it here for a minute to cool off before I put it back in my drawer. I am going to attempt to do this without the soap and water. I hope I don't screw it up. Test fit your pieces first, Jason. Lay them on here and you can see the arch, a little bit of an arch in the bottom of this. It kind of lines up with that. So just test fit them first. See what kind of space you got to work with. Looks like it's just a millimeter shy of the edge all the way around, so it should fit pretty good. Now, one thing you can do is, and I hope I don't screw this up. If I do, you may want to use the soapy water technique. But let me get started. Okay. Now, what I'm going to attempt to do is fold this back like that. And then I'm going to attempt to get this right where I want it. Oops. It slipped on me. Boy, when it sticks, buddy. So, alright, let me see. Okay, sorry about that. My electricity went off for just a minute. Alright, I got that on there. Got a couple little bubbles I can poke with a pen if I need to. But it went on pretty good. I prefer doing it like this, but the soapy water method might make it cleaner and slicker if you want to try that. But I'm just nervous that the film of soap will be under there, and at some point the corner of this start coming loose and it rip off in the air. So I'd rather get the full use of the adhesive, the glue that's on the back of it. So we can take a pin and poke that little bubble right there, and then you can take your finger and just gently, teeny tiny little hole, and then just push them down. You can't even see the holes. So there you go. There's one side of it. Alright, I'm not gonna record doing all the stickers. Maybe one side of the windows or something, but I'm going to try to save camera time here. So now at this point I'm going to stop and get the rest of them all cut out, and then when I do, I'll come back. Okay, we're going to try to get some more of these stickers on here. Got them all cut out now. Up here where I can see this one. Whoops, wait, I'm going to do this. Yeah. I'm going to peel this back just a little ways, get it started. I just got to get it level with this corner right here. And once I can get that edge started right, that's good. Then we'll just pull that out from under it. Take your fingers, work it all the way back. There we go. Now, the book showed to put the front part on first, but I put the sides on first so this will overlap. I didn't want the sides, air being able to get under it. So, you've got about 1/8 of an inch here on each side that will overlap. So we're going to put this piece on after the side windows. Now, what I want to do is get those black lines lined up and overlapped just right. Look at that. Now, stretch that right across there. go. With those all lined up, let's push this side over. Look at that. Those lined up perfect too. That was easy. Not a problem doing it without the soap, to me. Okay, and then go back on there. Alright. Got the windows on. Starting to look more like a plane now. Got a couple little bitty bubbles right here. I'll poke. But nothing major. One or two right there. I don't think I got any on the other side. Okay. There we go. Alright, got those all on. Now these other ones I think probably go on the wing, so I'll wait and do that later. I don't want to get the wing back out right now. I'll lay them up here out of the way. So there we go. Got that part done. Now, let's see what we're going to start on next. Okay, we got the stickers on. Now it's time for the stab and the vertical fin. Lay that back over there. Turn the fuselage around the other way. Put this back in the box. Get the horizontal stab out. Okay, got a few little wrinkles, not bad, but let me, since you've already seen how to take the wrinkles out, let me get these out of here and save some camera time, and I'll be back in just a minute. Okay, I started to heat gun this and I forgot. I gotta go along all these seams and make sure they're down. I just about peeled the corner up back there on the elevator. So anyway, I've gone all around it now, sealed all the overlapping seams. Your covering will go from top, wrap around the bottom. So anytime you work on it, if you ever cover a plane, you cover the bottom first and you overlap the top of it down under onto that so it catches less wind and stuff, no seam up here. So anyway, had to get this little area sealed down along here because we don't want that to peel up. Anywhere there's an edge that can come loose, make sure it's good and tight. So, alright, I think we got it. I'm going to leave my iron plugged in for just a minute. And let's go back at this. See if we can get it. Wrinkles pulled out. Come on, heat up. There we go. Takes a second for it to get hot. And once it does, I keep it moving. See, there's a corner trying to roll up on me right there. I don't know why it's not sticking good. But see what I mean? You can see how that'll melt it and curl it up. So I got to try to get that pushed back down. We'll kind of pull that wrinkle back over the edge. Just about exposed the wood there. Okay, I'm going to stay away from that corner. Did expose it just a little right here. I can put a little patch over it if I need to. Okay, let's go on back down through here in the middle. the other side looks like. Alright, that looks pretty good. Nice and flat, all shiny. So, alright, we're done with that. Be back in just a minute. Okay, Jason, I've just got these sitting on here temporary for right now. I have a big plastic tape measure like for sewing. My wife gave me it, unrolls, but I cannot find it anywhere. It's got knocked off the wall here and I can't find it, so I'm having to use a tape measure. But at the front of the cabin, right up there where the wing butts up, butt your tape measure up to that and then hold it straight, don't let it buckle on you, and measure to the tip of your stab back here. And I came out with 39 inches on both sides, perfect right to that corner. So that tells me that it's square and lined up right and everything. So it's already got the covering cut away, so that kind of helps you. You can also, I just don't do it on this one, but you can also measure across the front of this stab and put your center mark right there, and then measure this and measure that and center and put your marks together. And the same thing underneath the tail back here, you can measure that too. But this is lining up great without doing all that. So, but that is really the easiest way to do it, is to measure across here and get your center mark. Actually, you'd probably want to measure from the sides here all the way across and get your center. But this being cut out and everything, it lines up real good, so that helped me. I need to put this back though, and let's see if we can get it on here straight again. Make sure it lines up back here. There we go. Now what I want to mark is the fuselage here. They didn't cut the covering away on it for whatever reason. They did on the stab, but that also needs to be cut out so this glue will stick all the way along this flat bottom of that. So not real sure why they didn't do that. They leave that up to you. Alright, lay all that over here. I'm going to take a razor knife and I'm going to cut about 1/16 of an inch inside that mark, so I know my vertical fin will cover it up, both sides. Okay, get that off of there. Now before I remove that, I'm going to take a paper towel and a little dash of alcohol and clean my ink marks off of there. Don't want that getting in the glue. And I'll use the other side to kind of dry it. Okay, now we'll peel this off. There we go. We're lined up. Alright. Now we're going to get it back. We're going to put the glue on it and then get it back in place and tape it down and let it dry. You know, I think I'll glue the stab first and let it set, and then go back and do the fin, so I don't have to try to do it all at once. Okay. Alright. I'm going to do what I did the first time to line it up. Let me check underneath here. A little tiny bit off center. There we go. Get that centered up. Front needs to go to the right just a hair. There we go. Now, I want to right on 39. Let's see what we got on this side. Let's roll just a hair. Go that way. Okay. Alright. We're good. Now, what I want to check before I glue it is you'll need a square like this, and you usually have to cut the corner out to fit. Generally on most planes, part of the fuselage comes back here. This one doesn't, but anyway, just kind of gently lay that on there. So I'm going to need to push it to the left just a tiny bit to get it squared up. And the reason I want to glue the stab first to get it in place is then after it's hardened, then I can put a piece of that blue tape across the top of this down to the ends of the stab and get this centered up with my square and then let it dry. So I'm going to do this in two separate stages. And I am going to use the 30-minute epoxy because it's stronger, a little bit stronger than the 5-minute, and it'll give me a little more working time to make sure I get this all lined up. So, but I am going to do this. I've got this lined up. I'm going to make myself a couple of marks. On here. I'm going to go under here. That way when I glue it on there, all I got to do is line those marks up. And then this, again, this is not a permanent marker. It's for sewing also material, and it will wipe right off. So, okay, take this off now. And we'll have to do this in two stages and either work on something else while it's drying or take a break. This is the slowest part of it. Once you get the tail feathers glued on and your wing done, then the interior part of it, mounting the engine and servos and stuff, you just kind of go because you don't have to wait on glue to dry on anything. It's all screws and bolts. So once you get past this tail section, it really starts speeding up good. Everything else is pretty much bolt on. So let me put my tape measure up. Alright, I'm going to get some glue mixed and we'll be back in just a minute. Okay, get my camera to stay here. Alright, I've got everything measured and marked where I want it to go. So what we're going to do is start right up here. I'll put some glue right up against the front of that. And then I want to spread it all the way back. Now this doesn't have to be just real thick. You don't want a whole lot of this squirting out. And that fits real snug and level. So also, by just doing the horizontal first, I can lay something a little heavy on here to make sure it sets. But I probably won't all pin it. I'll show you how to do that here in just a second. Alright, got that coated good. Now, I'm not going to put another coat on this. That'll be plenty because, like I said, I don't want a bunch of it squirting out. So now what I'm going to do is line my marks up. Get on there. Let me check under here and make sure my mark. Okay, I'm slightly off. Alright, got that lined up. Those two are still lined up. Double check it again. Slip on me. There we go. Now, what I'm going to do, what I do with them, hit them under here. I've got two T-pins. I am going to poke one through this into the fuselage. I just hope you can see that. And I put it in where the wood section is, where the covering's cut away. Well, that'll hold that front from moving. Now I'm going to double check this back here one more time. It's still good. So now I don't have any glue seeping out. Good deal. I don't have to clean it up. Okay, I'm going to get it about right here, and I'm going to put it through that part. Now that'll hold that in place. Now, one thing I will want to do is put the vertical fin back on it, and like I did right here, I need to cut this covering back here too. I forgot to mark that and cut, but we'll do that in a minute before we get this done. So now I'm going to get, let me see here, the engine box is kind of heavy. I'm going to set that on there and center it. Make sure everything's still level. Alright, we're going to let that set for a little while, and then we'll be back and do the vertical fin. One thing that's handy too, Jason, that I do, I use my phone a lot. You can look at your clock on your wall. My battery's dead in mine right now, but anyway, I'll go in my utilities and set a timer for 30 minutes, and that will be dry enough. This will be hard enough I can put the vertical fin on at that time. Anyway, so I'll set my timer on my phone, and that tells me when I need to come back and do the rest of it. So after this, we start on the landing gear and the engine mount, engine and fuel tank. So be back in a bit. Okay, our glue has set up enough on this that we can handle it now. Always check my pad, make sure if it's hard on there, then it's set up good. Get rid of that. Anyway, now what I'm going to do is set this. Well, I guess I ought to pull the T-pins out first. Whew, I'll have to get a pair of pliers. They're stuck pretty good. They probably got a little glue on them. Okay, put them back where they belong over here. My foam deal. Alright, now we're going to put this back. Oh, well, no, never mind. I thought this went farther back here, but it doesn't. That's the rudder. So I poked a hole in that for nothing right there. I thought it'd cover it up. So we don't have to trim any covering. Okay, now we're ready to mix a little more glue. And I just broke my stick off, and I'm going to use the other end of it now. So let's pull this over here. And one thing, the SIG Kadets or the SIG planes are built pretty good, but there's one thing on here I'm not real impressed with. The vertical fin, the only thing that pins it is a little bitty block here and on the front, and then it glues here. Every other plane I've ever built has this block extends the whole length of it, sticking down without any covering, goes down in a slot. So I'm not just real impressed with that being the only point. This will be, you'll have to be careful, Jason, and not hit it or bump it on something. What we can do later, I don't have any right now, but I can buy some, and you can too. What we may do is put a tail wire, tie into one of the wood structures here in the horizontal, and up here too, and put a tail wire down to each side, and that will stabilize that so you won't bump it and break it off. So may come back and do that later on. But anyway, that's the only thing so far I found that I wasn't just real impressed with. That's kind of going to be kind of a weak spot. But let's get some glue mixed up here. It won't take very much. It should be plenty, probably way more than I need. You know, find my lids. Always put your lids right back on your glue when you're done. Alright, now We'll stir this up with the other end of our stick. We'll get 2 uses out of each one. I buy these, you can get them at Hobby Lobby, Walmart, and the craft department has some big old bags of these mixing sticks, and probably your hobby shop too, but I imagine they might cost a little bit more. I don't know, but I get a bag like 100 of them for, I don't know, $3 or $4, and they last me forever. Okay, now what we're going to do here is we're going to put glue all over this peg. Now we're probably going to need a paper towel and some alcohol to clean off the excess that squeezes out of this. Now we're also, well, let me get my camera down here, you can't see what I'm doing. Covered this peg. Now we're also going to cover the whole bottom of this, make sure it's got a good coat on it. Now, so just remember, any of this that squirts out, we'll get our paper towel and our alcohol and we'll clean it off. So want a good coat on there. Now we'll take the rest of it, we'll coat this peg right here. I'm going to not leave much on the back of it because it'll be hard to wipe off under that rudder, so we'll kind of go easy with that back there. Okay, let's lay that aside. We won't get our hands in it. Let's get this back over here. And you can see our holes where it goes. We're going to start with the front, stick it down in there. Stick that one down in there and press it down really good. Now, we definitely are going to have to wipe a little bit off. Let me get a couple of towels out here. Fold this up. I was really surprised. The debonder really worked good taking this dried glue off. Anyway, when you do it in a 90-degree corner like that, spray the edge of your towel, not the flat part of it. And that way you can push that down in there. Okay, let's fold that over. Cover that up. Now, get this little bit here. We don't want to get that under the rudder. Okay, that got it. Now, do this edge and do this side over here. There's not much coming out of it, just a little bit on this side. Okay, throw that away. Now, we are going to take this and see how square we are. So I have to tip it just slightly to the left. It wants to dry that way. So here's what I'm going to do. Let me get my tape dispenser down here. We're going to get a big old long piece of tape. And we're going to tape under the corner of this. Oh, I didn't get it long enough. Well, that's alright. Here's what I can do. Now, let me see if that's going to stick down here. I'll just get a piece and add to it. And keep it from sticking to itself. Alright, that'll work. Get everything out of the way down here. Now, let's check back and see what we got. Just almost a hair too much. So what I'm going to do is loosen this end, pull a little tension on it. Stick it again. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Now that should also hold a little pressure on that to keep that thing down. Now I'm going to do one more thing. Let's see. I'm going to put a little piece right around the front here and then down to the fuselage just to kind of hold pressure on that front end. Now I'm going to check this one more time. Put my square on there. Perfect. Almost. Well, it does. Still needs to go this way just a tiny, tiny bit. Uh-oh. That didn't work well. Here, we'll do this. I'll turn it over and stick it to the sticky side. That'll work. Alright, now let me pull that again. See where we're at. Oh, good grief. I can't believe that ain't going to stick to itself. Never seen that happen before. See if we can splice it up here and get it to hold. Okay, one more time. Put a little pressure. Tape it down. Let's try our square again. Okay, now that is perfect, just about. Alright, both sides are perfect. So, there we go. Looks dead center down the fuse. Okay, we're going to let that set. We'll set our timer on our phone again. And we'll be back and start putting the landing gear on this thing. Okay, guys. Timer has gone off. So, let's tear this. Pull our blue tape off of here. And get a hold of it over here. Off of that side. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty solid. I may, though, just for grins and giggles, I may order a set of, or I may have the stuff to build it. I don't know. I'll have to look, but I may have to order a set of the tail wires, and they bolt through a wood piece of the wood up here, and then go down to the stab through one of your wood pieces there. A lot of the larger planes have those because there's so much vibration and wind and torque. But that I just kind of worried about that weak joint right there. So I'll probably put some tail wires on it later on. But like I said, it's not a real acrobatic plane and stuff, so it's not like you're gonna flip it around and rip it off. So okay, we are done. Well, we're not done with the tail section. We've got it all glued on. We still have to come back later when we start putting the servos in and put the control horns on, but that's another little segment. So now I think we are ready for the landing gear, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, so let me get all that stuff out and then I will be right back. Okay, Jason, you will need your bag out of your box with your wheels and landing gear, and this is all for the main landing gear right here, and this is the tail wheel. So let's cut these open and get our stuff out. Alright, we're just going to kind of lay this all to the side here for now. All the front landing gear. And we'll leave the bolts and everything in the baggie until we're actually ready to put them on. So we'll do the main landing gear first. Get it on there for something to set it on. Okay, take your wires out, your wheels, and we'll set one wheel aside for the front, two for the main. Okay, buddy. Now, trying to kind of halfway keep cleaned up here as I go. The front wheel is slightly smaller than the back, which is fine. I thought they were all three the same, but front one's slightly smaller, but that's okay. It's still plenty big enough to roll in the grass and stuff. So, and I can't remember, you guys may have a paved runway up there where you're at. So, alright, we will open this up and just lay all this stuff right here, since we're going to use it right away. Okay, let's get the book out, see what it says. Alrighty. Oh, cool. This comes with something a little unique that most planes don't. It's got this little plastic bushing. Goes on here, if I can get it on there. Yeah. I mean, I don't guess it's unique, but anyway, it's different. Most planes have a wheel collar on the back and the front side. But this one's got a plastic bushing back here to keep the wheel up against. Okay, now you're going to want, we got to get a screwdriver here that'll fit this. Okay, well, you're going to want your blue Loctite again to lock the screws in your wheel collar. And alright, one thing you need to do is fit it on here. See where your wheel collar is going to go. It's got a burr on it. Leave a little bit of slack. You want your wheel to have just a slight bit of movement so it doesn't bind up. Alright, now what I'm going to do is take my Sharpie marker. I'm going to mark where the edge of that is. And I want to put my screw on the top. I mean, I don't know why I do that. Just, I guess in your mind you think of it vibrating loose and falling out, but if it vibrates loose, it's going to fall out no matter what. But I just always put them on the top. They're easy to get to. Now we've kind of marked that. Take that off, and we're going to take a Dremel with a disc on it, and we're going to make a flat spot behind that line that we just made. Let me get my camera down here so you can see what I'm doing. I need to hold this a little more steady. Okay. Now, it doesn't have to be just real deep. Just a little flat area for that screw to lock down on. It keeps it from, if it does happen to loosen up just a tiny bit, maybe you won't lose your wheel, but this keeps it locked down tighter. So, alright, we got the bushing on there. We'll put the wheel back on. And let's get our Loctite out. I'll let it's plugged up again. Nope, it's not. How about that? Okay, I'm going to put this on the end of my screwdriver, and I'm going to put my Loctite. Well, said it wasn't plugged up. I guess it is. Hang on. Let me get the silly thing undone. This stuff's as bad as super glue. If it sets for a while, I just take a T-pen. Push it back down through there. That should have loosened it up, hopefully. I'll get my camera back up here. Alright, let's get our screw back on our screwdriver. Come on now. There it comes. Pretty generous little bubble on there. Let's go ahead and start that into the wheel collar. Just a couple of threads. Now we're going to stick that on back on here, and we're going to get it lined up, but just away from the wheel slightly, so we have a little slack in it. Now scoot that out, get my screwdriver, and start tightening that down onto that flat spot. Alright, we can scoot it in just a little bit. Okay, now once you get it started, be careful and don't jab yourself in your hand with a screwdriver. Then take your screwdriver and really cinch it down. Now, as long as you Loctite that good, I've only had one wheel come off. They usually stay pretty good, especially if you put that flat spot. So there's that one out of the way. Let me get the other one put together, and then I'll show you how to put them on. Okay, guys, we got landing gear mounted up. Now I'm going to lay this across here like that to keep the tail from hitting anything. Now let me see if I can manage to get, alright, now here's the bottom where the landing gear goes. Now there's a groove here with the two holes that you can see. Okay, now what you do, you take your one landing gear and you stick it down tight, and you can take the tail end of a screwdriver and hit that. Don't be careful, don't bust your wood. Okay, now your other wheel goes right behind that, into a hole. Oops! Wow, knocked my camera over. How about that? Hang on just a second. I get it back. Well, why? It's lost its focus. There it is. Okay, well, that was fun. Never had that happen before. Vibration knocked my tripod down. Okay. There, we're back on it. Alright, it's down pretty good. Let me get my little hammer. See if I can knock it down a little farther. There, that worked. That worked good. I got it all the way down. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to need a drill bit just slightly smaller than your screws. That's too big. So I will get whatever this one is, a 5/64. Should do it. Get my drill out. Whoops, I don't need that drill. I'll get my little one. Okay. Alright, now what we're going to do, we're going to lay these nylon straps just over where the bend is on this side of that, where the leg goes in. Get them even, both sides, very carefully. Drill a hole down into the wood. Okay, let's get our screwdriver. Just thread those in there. Really good. I'm going to leave that level. I'm not going to tighten it all the way down. We're going to drill our hole in this side. You don't have to go all the way through, although I did, because these are short little screws anyway. Alright, now what we're going to do is we're going to screw them down all the way. Now we're going to take it back off and do the other side, and then we're going to put our CA in the holes to tighten up the threads around it so the wood won't deteriorate away. So, alright. Oh, I hear thunder coming again. Doggone it. Alright, let's do the other side. Get it spaced just right. Let's start one screw so we don't lose our hole. But don't tighten it all the way down, just about halfway. Okay, now keep it straight. There again, be sure that you keep this nylon band across both pieces of wire, right at the corner of the other side one. So, let's get that on there, drill that. I didn't go all the way through on those. I'm going to take my hammer, see if I can get this side down a little bit. Okay, now let's put a screw in that one. Now we're going to tighten them down all the way. The reason we're going to do that is because we want the glue to fill in all the threads all the way down. If you don't screw them all the way down, then it's not filling in those threads. Okay, now we'll take them back out. And we'll get our thin CA. And these are pretty good sized holes, so I'm going to drop about 6 good drops down in there. Another good reason not to go all the way through is so the glue don't run through and drip inside your plane, but it'll just go all the way out and drip on my towel if it does, on the one that I went through. Okay, we'll let those set for about 5 minutes, and then we'll come back and put the screws back in, and we'll put the front landing gear on. I'll be back in just a minute. Okay, glue set up now. It's been about 5 or 6 minutes. When I knocked my camera over a while ago, I just told Jason we've been texting each other all day while I'm doing this. When I hammered on that, it vibrated the table on my tripod. One of the legs folded up and it fell over. And I also knocked off a half a glass of iced tea in the floor. Made a mess, so I'm going to have to, I got it cleaned up, but I'm going to have to go get me some more tea to drink here in just a second. Let's get these on here. Starting to look like an airplane, Jason. We're coming right along. It goes, once you get this, the tail feathers and everything done, the wing, it really starts moving fairly quick because you can work steady, you know, just keep going without having to wait on glue to dry. The only glue you use inside is where you glue the screw holes where the servos go, or anything like that. So other than that, you don't have any more epoxy to use in here. We're done with it. Okay, we have main landing gear, buddy. Let me vac this back out. Turn that over. Looky there. Looky there. Sweet, sweet, sweet. Wheels. Okay, I'm going to chalk that with my drill so it don't roll off. Now, we're going to get out our hardware for the front wheel. We'll have a couple of 4 holes here to screw, or put glue in, I'm sorry. Okay, now, well, wait, no we won't. It's got blind nuts in it, never mind. This has blind nuts in the front of it. So let me turn this around if I can. I want you to be able to see all of this as I'm doing it. So I'm trying to keep the camera angle on it as much as I can and close up so you can see really detail on this. Alright, once again on this shaft, when we get it where we want it, we're going to have to put a flat spot on it. So what we want to do, it's going to set just about like this. You want this arm, let me loosen it, loosen the screw. We're going to stick the steering arm down on it just temporarily. So, well, I guess we better put this on here so we know where it goes. Okay. That will bolt on right there. Our steering arm needs to be at center. It needs to be about 3/4 of an inch away from the firewall there, so it will get its full turn. Let me get a ruler. Oh. Okay. Well, don't fall off now. Alright, so we want 3/4 of an inch, and that's about right there. And that's centered up at the bottom. So what I need to do is measure down the shaft and see how far down. I'm going to use millimeters, maybe it read a little better. What I'm going to do is I'm going to measure down this to the top. So I'm going to go 10 millimeters. Well, actually 11 from the top of this rod right here. So we're going to pull that off. And I'm going to get my marker. And we're going to go 11 millimeters down. I'll hold that on there and mark. Okay, I know that's at the top of my steering arm. Now, we're going to put about a 30-degree angle on it. So I'm going to stick that on there and turn it out to about where it needs to be. Let's see, let me measure right quick and see where I'm at. This will be out about that far. Yeah, that's about 3/4, 7/8. Alright, now what I want to do, I want to mark my flat spot at straight down the angle the screw is going to be, not directly on the front of this, it's going to be over to one side. So what I'm going to do is make me a black mark right down the front of that rod. where that screw is going to go. Because like I said, it's going to be off center because the steering arm has to stick out here a little way so you have turning room. So now we'll take that off. We'll take our Dremel. Get a hold of it here. Okay, trying to get it as level as I can so the screw locks in good. There you go. We've got our flat spot ground in there. Okay. Now we'll get our Loctite back out. Dang, that metal's hot. Do you know that after you grind on it with a Dremel? Wow. And Jason, I think you have a Dremel, but if you don't, you can use the side of a flat file. Takes a little longer, but you can do that. So what we're going to do here, well, I'm going to put that halfway on. I got to put, let's see, wait a minute. I got to put this down here first. Hang on. Let me get Loctite on this screw. There's a wheel collar that goes under the base of this I don't believe this. My gosh, this thing plugs up so easy. It's worse than super glue. About tempted to just get me a new bottle. I got 2 more bottles down here in my drawer I just bought last week. It gets hard right there. I think I opened it up. Let's see. No, I did not. It's still got Loctite in it too. It sure is a pain in the butt when it does that. Alright, let's get the screw back up here. Put some Loctite on that. Go ahead and start it in this. Now, we're going to take the screw out of the steering arm, being careful not to move our brass bushing in there. And we're going to put Loctite on this screw as well. Pretty good little ball of it there. Now, get started back in my hole. Okay. Alright, now we're going to put this on first. We're going to put that halfway. And we're going to put that on there. Try to get in our flat spot here. Now, turn it around here. There we go. A minute. I know you guys can't see what I'm doing. My stupid camera keeps. Okay, let's see where we are here. It's hard to hold it with one hand and alright, we are below our flat spot. I gotta scoot it up. There we go. Now I found it. Gotta get it tightened on up in there. Doggone it, keeps sliding down on me. Alright, let's try this once again. About need 4 hands to hold on to this silly thing. Okay, now we're in it. For sure. Alright, see if I can get this tightened way down. Alright, we're good to go. Now we're going to push this bottom one up against the bottom of that. We're going to leave just a little bit of slack. This one I didn't do a flat spot for, but it'll stay. I'm not going to worry about it because it's not really a moving part. So let's see. Let me scoot it up just a hair, or down. I mean, here we go. Okay. Now get that one cinched down. All right. Now you have your steering. Sorry, my camera shut off there. Anyway, so Jason, let me zoom this in a little bit. Now you've got your wheel assembly all bolted together and Loctited down. Now I had to make a little change here off camera. If you noticed in the last section of the video before I started this one, the spring I had turned the wrong way. I had it on there, so I had to take it back out and redo my flat spot on the other side. Anyway, you want your wheel coming off with the spring coiled around to the front. The reason for that is it's putting pressure on this wheel, and that's what utilizes the spring motion in it. It doesn't let it bend. I had it on there backwards like that. So if you picture that rolling down the runway, it's putting pressure against the coil of the spring, and it's going to eventually bend that back. So you want to make sure you get that in there with the spring coil to the front of the airplane. So anyway, I've changed that. Now we're ready to bolt this on. You've got 4 little machine bolts. You got a little flat washer and a little lock washer. And we're also going to use Loctite. So what we'll do is put some Loctite on the first one. Stick it through our hole. Get my screwdriver here. You're lined up. There we go. We're just gonna start that. Now we're gonna put the other ones in. Let's see. Some Loctite in that one. Let's get that one started. I'm going to do something here. I don't know if that'll fit or it's probably too small, but I'm going to use this to run them down. The batteries are about dead in this little dude. Alright, let's put some Loctite on this one. Whoops. Something's wanting to start crooked. What's up with that? There we go. Guess I'll just use this for right now. Alright, one more. Put that one in there. Now we can cinch it all down, tighten it up. Get a hold of your fuselage here where you can really hold on to it. I'm holding the back of the cabin up here. But really tighten those down really well. Don't ever tighten these with a drill, because you'll just strip the heads out on them. And once you get them all tight, go back around them and make sure there's no slack in them. Okay, there we go. Alright, buddy, we got landing gear. You got your steering arm mounted 3/4 of an inch away from the firewall. That gives plenty of turning room. So, and we actually, this wheel collar that I put right here, that's the one that was supposed to be for here. I didn't realize it. And anyway, if you have an extra wheel collar, put one underneath here. It just gives it a double double whammy there so it doesn't slide loose. If this ever came loose, it won't let your gear slide up, so I always put one underneath. Anyway, I had a bunch extra, so I dug one out and put on the wheel. But if you don't have some, get a little pack. They're not very much. Get you a little package of wheel collars and put one underneath there too. So, all right, we got the landing gear all done. Tail feathers all glued in. So that will end this section. And when we come back, we'll be mounting the engine mount and the engine, and then whatever else we can get to on that segment. After the engine, then really all we like is cutting the cowl and installing the electronics and the linkage, so, and then balance. So anyway, we'll end this one right now, and we'll be back to mount the engine on part 3. Thanks for watching.